covering how right-wingers in America have been giddy over legislation that would ban critical race theory in public schools, even though it's not being taught in public schools. They're also focusing on empowering parents to go to school board meetings and essentially harass them over non-existent issues. They're banning books, all sorts of fun stuff. Well, the latest efforts in Florida center around the LGBTQ community, namely this effort to prevent children from learning anything or hearing anything about the LGBTQ community. And this is a bill that's making its way through the state legislature. The bill, filed by GOP Representative Joe Harding and titled the Parental Rights in Education Act, says that school districts may not encourage classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in primary grade levels, or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. By the way, the bill does not specify what primary grade levels means. So there's actually confusion over this, and people are wondering, like, does this apply to students in 3rd grade or students in 5th grade? But really, we know what this is about. It's about banning any discussion about sexual orientation or gender in the context of the school system. And there are consequences to that, especially when you consider that if you treat people or certain groups of people as if they're dangerous or bad, especially students who identify as part of that group, well, that takes a mental toll on those students. And so to give you more details, the legislation would make it illegal for districts to adopt procedures or student support forms that prohibit school district personnel from notifying a parent about his or her student's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being, something LGBTQ advocates argue could lead to some students being unintentionally outed to their parents. And remember, we're talking about Florida, where there are some pretty right-wing parents, and some students would probably want to avoid being unintentionally outed to their right-wing parents. And also, if a school district is suspected of encouraging such discussion, the bill states, parents may bring an action against a school district, i.e. a lawsuit, to bar them from doing so, and may even be entitled to damages. Well, the thing that gets me about these types of bills, and we've seen them all across the country in red states, is that apparently the right wing gets this monopoly over what's taught in schools. The opinions, the desires, the interests of, let's say, other parents who have different thoughts don't matter. It's only right-wing parents who get to decide what the curriculum should be, even though they're not experts in education, they don't have training in education, and maybe they should shut up. You don't like your kid going to a public school where they're learning about history, where they're learning about their anatomy, where they're learning about sexuality? Great, that's fine. Take your kid out of the public school and homeschool them. Pay for a private school. You don't get a monopoly. Like, you're not the arbiter of what is okay to teach in public schools, especially if you don't have a background or credentials in education. That's my thought on this. Sorry, go ahead, Was.
You know, the craziest thing about this, Anna, and as a black person, this made me laugh because they skipped over even doing the hush, right? Like, you ever seen somebody go, yeah, the guy's black? They just said, we're not even gonna say it. We're gonna skip over the hush. You know, gay people, they don't even do that. They just said, we're banning any and all talk of it. But seriously, it's silly because young people, whether their parents are realizing it or not, are sentient beings. People understand when they feel different, when they could tell, like, all right, that kid's a little bit different than me. He might be gay, he might be bisexual, she might be whatever. Like, young people realize these things intuitively, whether you talk about it in school or not. So this is not something you could just effectively hide or mask them from, right? Like, it's impossible to do that. So why not get out in front and have regular educational conversations about people, the dynamics in our society, et cetera, et cetera. Like, these kids aren't dumb. right? Like, and again, their friends are gay. Their teammates are gay. Like they're not idiots. You can't hide this stuff from them. It's just such a futile attempt. And it's, again, like you said, it's just preying on very scared parents who, by the way, parents are the most scared people on planet Earth.
Yeah. No, and I get it. And that's why well-funded right-wing organizations are like, wait, why are we getting involved in this mess? Why don't we just use scared parents as our pawns and have them do the dirty work for us? And that's exactly what's happening. This whole thing about like parental choice, parents should have a say in curriculum. They do have a say in curriculum. They get to decide whether they send their kids to a public school that isn't supposed to be dominated by one ideology, or if they don't like it, they can decide, this is the parental choice, to homeschool them. Oh, you don't want to homeschool them? Go to a private school. Oh, you don't want to pay for the private school? Then sorry, you don't get to be the arbiter of what public schools teach. But the thing that's really infuriating is it's working, Waz. Even though there are parents who disagree with this, there are parents who want their kids to learn about slavery. There are parents who want their kids to learn accurate, comprehensive sex ed. They don't matter. Because guess what? They don't have well-funded left-wing organizations riling them up or funding them. And the other thing that boggles my mind is that, man, there are a lot of moms out there who have a lot of time on their hands. When did that happen? When did that happen? Like, how do they have time to do all this?
It's crazy. And also, what I think they're missing is like, again, this is not stuff, this is stuff that everybody is going to confront in our society. There's no way to silo this stuff off in some corner. Like, you're going to have to confront these things. And I think they're making the mistake that, look, eventually your kids are gonna learn this stuff and resent you for trying to keep them from this, level of understanding and information. It's just futile. Again, these kids have the internet. These kids are watching Netflix. These kids,
they're watching more than Netflix was. Just keeping it real.
And God bless them for it, right? Education is important in all realms. It's just futile, in my opinion. This is such a fool's errand. But let them go crazy.
Yeah, I am worried about kids feeling bullied or feeling unaccepted and not, just feeling like they're not accepted in society. And I felt like we were certainly not completely at a place where society was at least like accepting overall. There was still work to do, but the fact that we're rolling back, in the very least, tolerance and having like an open place for people to feel welcome, like it's really devastating stuff. And look, let's just finally mention why it's happening. This is the same culture war stuff that politicians engage in because they've got nothing else for you folks. Like, you might feel economic anxiety, you might be struggling with low wages, you might be worried about going bankrupt because you can't afford healthcare, you might be worried because you're getting real close to retirement age, but you don't have a dime to your name to retire on. But these lawmakers aren't gonna do a damn thing about it because they love the system that's putting you in that position in the first place. But what else are they gonna do? They're gonna exploit fear, they're gonna exploit paranoia, they're gonna exploit a bunch of moms who have a bunch of time on their hands, and they're gonna focus on this. This is what they're gonna do. It just tears the country apart. It makes people feel like they're not accepted, and it's terrible. That's what American politics has devolved into, for very good reason. Corporate interests essentially force politics to devolve into nothing more than politics of fear, politics of culture wars, and that's it. It's really depressing stuff.
Yeah, the people do feel a sense of hopelessness and helplessness. And with stuff like this does help them feel powerful. Like, I can step in and stop this thing, even though, I can't get better wages at my job. I can't secure healthcare, as you said. I can't do these things that will materially improve my life. But this one thing I can have an effect on. And that's why they go so hard about it. And it's one of the few things that they do feel in control of, because again, it's not like they can exercise any power politically.
Yeah.
That clearly doesn't work. So they go to their local school board and scream about gay people and periods and all kinds of stuff.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.